Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Helena.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are Speaker Insight, where we help speakers, authors and coaches to build a business on your terms. And today, we're going to start off with the usual stuff around if you are watching this not live, hello to whoever just joined us. If you're watching this not live, do a hashtag replay, because we love a hashtag replay, don't we?
We do. We know most of you watch us on the replay.
And that's actually associated to today's theme, interestingly enough. So there's one little clue to how you actually engage the lurkers in your group. They may not listen, they may not actually pay attention to that, but we are definitely supporting people in watching over and over again at whatever time. So whether it's 6 months down the line or just 3 hours, it doesn't actually matter. So we're saying hello to, Joanne, very nice, we've just been having a conversation, which is lovely. Amy, good morning, because of course you are a global audience, and so we hope you've got your nice mug of coffee.
She has. She says she's sharing a coffee with us.
Excellent,
always.
Wonderful. Mug shot, please. That would be wonderful. We like a little bit of that. More on that a little bit later too. So today we are talking about engaging the lurkers in your group, and there are quite a few things that you can actually do.
But we've got some buzz to share.
Wait! I'm getting.
I thought you were speeding ahead.
I was not.
The guys haven't even joined us yet.
No, this is our way of engaging as well, because obviously you watching just us banter at each other is one of those things. So we obviously want to know the buzz in your business. So the things that are interesting, intriguing, exciting for you, whether it's just happened or whether it's coming up. Share a link, share a story with us that is just growing your business or growing you in some way, shape or form. We want to know what's going on in your lives, because as speakers, authors and coaches, you are really setting out to change the world, change hearts, change minds, and we want to be a part of that. We want to understand what part of the world you are actually changing.
And
so
we want to give you a platform to promote it. So
yes.
I think we're about 10 members away from 6,000 people
Very
in our
exciting.
group. So
if you have a friend that is a speaker, author or coach that could use a little bit of guidance like this, or the communication inside the Connection Hub, which is our group where the conversations absolutely happen, please invite them in, because we would love to hit the 6,000 mark. That would be fun.
We average about 100 people a week, right? So we know it's going to happen.
I know, but you could speed it up, and that would be really quite fun. So the buzz in our business, just so that you are aware, is where have you been? You've been travelling around all over the place.
Oh, it's been one of those weeks. End of last week, I think I put a post in the hub. I was running a retreat in the Lake District, which was beautiful because I left the snow and sleet to gorgeous sunshine and 4 poster beds in this lovely, converted old house. It was lovely. And then what else have I been doing? Oh, yes, it was Confex. I know some of you were at Confex last week, which is one of the big shows, expos for meeting professionals. So I was there with my speaker agent hat on. So again, just make sure that you're doing stuff, guys, those expos where you're going to meet either your avatar or your suppliers or your JV relationships.
That's right.
And there was people there like Warren and Jane that I met up with I haven't seen for ages. So it's really nice to actually make work and make those personal connections happen together.
And it is one of those things where when you take time out to do that, putting a little bit of time in after it to like buffer time to actively follow up with those people is a really good thing. So we had our strategy day yesterday, and we've been working on our business and just looking at who else we might put in front of you, whose brains we can pick on your behalf, which is really rather good. We're also prepping for our retreat. It comes up on Friday through to Sunday. We're quite excited to be taking only 8 people, because we exclusively do the kind of raptor attack.
We normally do 6.
That's right.
But we've got a couple of people that are coming back for a second time because their business has changed.
Yeah.
So we allow those extra people. And this time we've got 9 because we've got a dog.
I know. We're quite excited about Fred coming along as well. We don't know what he's going to create around the world, but who knows? Sabrina, we'll see how that one goes. So we're excited about the retreat, and because it really is a chance for people to step back and work on their business with our brains on top of their brains, working on it and really shaping it in all sorts of ways.
And we only do that twice a year. So our next one, I've put the link in there. We have got a couple of spaces for the next one.
Yeah, September 11th to the 13th. So please, if you are thinking about working on your business, let us help you. Don't make it difficult. Like actually,
don't do it alone.
Don't do it alone. It's kind of how it works, isn't it? And the other thing that if a retreat is out of your realms and you want something closer and sooner, the Connect and Create Day, we've got about 4 spaces left on that on the 16th of March. So Monday the 16th of March, if you want to come and actually work on your business. Hi, Alison.
Fatty enjoyed the retreat. So Alison bought her cat when she came to the retreat.
I know, right?
It's like an everyone's welcome retreat.
Yeah, that's right. We're very inclusive, which is how it goes. But enough of the chit chat. Let's get into actually giving you some education, because that is really what we are all about. We play to our strengths around that. And so we want to talk to you a little bit about kind of engaging the lurkers in your group, because what we know, or what we hear, we don't necessarily buy into this, but we hear a lot that running Facebook groups is hard. We don't necessarily see it like that.
Because we put the structure and the work in
Yes.
beforehand, there are a lot of people that are a slave to their Facebook group.
Yeah, and we
right?
don't want that for you. And you don't have to be. So we are definitely saying that groups are a good way to go if you are prepared to actually work with it. And one of the ways to do that is just to ensure that you are taking care of your lurkers. Now, I know that sounds like a really weird thing, because how do you know who the lurkers are? But that's what we want to address. So, a Facebook group can be a bit like a child that you have to nurture, energize, educate, steer in some way. But a lot of the time, you don't necessarily see the efforts or the results of the efforts that you're making. And our invitation is to just keep going. And just do it, and do it some more, particularly in the early days, because it feels like you're making so much effort, but you're not seeing the results, and people aren't liking your posts, and people aren't supposedly engaging. But that doesn't mean they're not listening. That doesn't mean they're not watching.
I can't remember, we were at an event and somebody came up to us.
It was
my God,
weird.
so this video that you did and blah, blah, blah. And we were like, what? Like,
because they didn't put the hashtag replay, and they didn't
like
do
it,
it
they
liking.
didn't comment, and they said, this is the best video, and I've shared this, or I've directed people to this, blah, blah, blah. I've told people about your group, and we're like, we didn't even know that you watched anything.
Truly.
And so this is the thing that we want to make people not be disheartened, as Helena said, because there are so many, and a very high proportion, we'll go through these stats in a minute, of people that are watching, but you don't even know they're watching.
And the thing about that is that actively they are, I'm sure you've all heard the know, like and trust you. They are sat, whether it's at lunchtime or whether it's in the evening, they're watching your Facebook lives, they're seeing your posts come through, they're learning in their style, they're just watching. And eventually they just tip over the line and they say hello in some way. Your job is to trust that and trust you to show up consistently for them, so that when they do appear, you go, oh, hi.
Yeah, and they might not ever appear in your Facebook group.
Yes.
We had one lady who was in America.
Yeah.
She'd been watching our videos, and then the next step she took was book to fly over from America to come on our 3-day retreat.
What?
We didn't know this lady other than her application form that she filled in.
Yeah.
And so when we found out of the retreat, how did you know about us? She said, I've been watching your videos for about 6 months or so. It's
Love you sitting on that couch, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, obviously you have been. So what we're saying here is that when you trust in your own stuff, and when you are actually showing up in your group on a regular basis with that consistency, things do happen as a result of your efforts, and your job is to actually trust that happening and to keep showing up.
And that's what Joe's just said, that she had that in her group the other day, most sit and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And
some
so
of
we'll
that
get
also,
to that. We'll tell you the stats around that.
Exactly. So why don't you?
Yeah, so one of the things that we want to do today is give you that insight.
Hi, honey.
But also we want to give you those tips to help those lurkers show their heads a little bit more, okay? Hang on a minute.
Because if you can tease them out, it's Andrea just saying hi, which is
and
really
Amy's
cool.
saying she wants to do that one day. What fun just to come and see you guys. Yeah, we want you at the retreat
Amy,
too,
we want you to get on a plane and come on over.
Good to see you, Brett. So all of you guys, Andrea, Brett, Amy,
you're not
our lurkers, right? You're what we class in the minute is actually either our creators or actually our contributors. Yeah. So we'll talk about you guys now. Because actually what I'll do is I'm going to put this image up into the comments, because this is a graph that basically shows you the average engagement stats in a Facebook group.
This is going to make you feel really good if you feel like you do have the kind of group that I just described.
So if you want to, you can click on the, Andrea, I'll leave now.
No.
Click on the link and you can download that image, but I'm also going to talk you through that so you can actually look at the main stats.
Yeah.
So what this diagram actually shows is that actually 1% of your entire group is what we class, or is in this diagram classed as creators, right? So what do I mean by creator? Actually, a lot of you that are commenting are our creators. You're really heavy contributors.
Yeah.
So what you'll probably do is you might start discussions. Like Andrea, you put the post up recently about, what's changed in your business, etc. Taruna, you're one of them too.
Yes.
So right, and so you might actually be starting these conversations, sharing stuff even without being provoked. You actually put content in there. You share articles. You ask questions of the group. You ask for feedback, for example.
Yeah.
So we also know that you show up on our lives. You like our products or our posts, or you might love them, or you might give us comments on them. So we know who you are, even if we haven't met you, which we have met all of you guys.
Yeah.
But even if we don't know, well, we haven't met Amy, I suppose, because she's across the pond.
So, sort of like online or offline, but actively, 9 times out of 10, those heavy contributors are likely to be the people that then start to show up in your world elsewhere as well,
right? You come to Connect and Create Days, you're on the retreats, you're our top 1%. And that's the same in your sales funnel, guys, as it would be for your Facebook group. And probably you guys are the ones that have earned the Facebook badges, right? Yes. The rising stars, the visual storytellers, the conversation starters. Yes. So when you go into the Connection Hub, if you've got a little grey badge, it means that you've got a Facebook badge in our group, and those badges are group specific.
I really want to peeve you right now. Or super admins.
Oh God. Yeah, she got that badge and I didn't. Anyway. Enough said, talk to the hand. Yeah. So that just shows you whether, if you've got a little badge in any of the groups that you hang out in, you're definitely not a lurker in that group, okay? Because you're showing your contribution.
Agreed.
So that's 1%. That's a very, very small percentage. You look at our group for 6,000 people. 1% are the people you're going to see a lot of the posts from other than us. Then you've got the next group, which is your contributors. Now, this still only makes up 9% of your group, okay? So 9%, what are the contributors? They probably are the ones that don't so much actively make the discussions. They don't put the posts up and ask for feedback. No. But they're definitely people that show their head. Yeah. They do like posts, they do comment. They are there maybe taking part in polls and surveys and things. So we're aware of you. They'll
step up every now and then. Like, we know the names and we go, oh, nice to see that person again and so on. But it's not like it's not like you're in the living room all the time kind of thing. It's like you've come to visit.
Yeah. So Kieran's saying, I like to remind the group that I am admin for another person, that it's a peer support group and it can't run without engagement.
Right.
100%, right? We'll get onto the flow of asking and putting out content. So this 9% are the people that you're going to have on your radar. Yeah. You're going to really appreciate the fact that they're there watching your lives. Thank you, I'm not doing this to nobody. Yeah. But more than likely, just like us, we have 80% of you watch our replay of our lives rather than you live. Join us live, because most people are either at work or doing stuff, and we highly appreciate that it's on your terms. Yes. But you still want the content. So at the moment, with these two groups, the 1%, which are your creators, and the 9%, which are your heavy contributors, that's 10% of your group.
Just 10.
Right? That means 90% of your Facebook group are lurkers, right? And what do we mean by lurkers? If you haven't come across this term before, they're people that join your group, but then they become invisible. They're like ghosts.
It's like, who are they? You
don't see them. There's no interaction from them at all. Not a lurker is someone that doesn't even like or whatever. You don't even see that they're seeing your posts.
They make up the stats because they're definitely in your group, but they are not visible to you at all around how they're engaging.
Yeah. And so this is when Helena's saying, most people say running a Facebook group is hard. This is when people find it hard. Because they're like, I'm putting so much effort in, I'm doing all this and I'm not getting any response. And that's because if you've got a small group or a smaller group, say 100 people, then you're only going to have 10 people that you're probably going to be aware of that are even active. The 90%, the 90 people in there are just maybe watching and not commenting, or they may be joined and they're not watching. We're not saying that everyone is a lurker.
We're definitely not saying that.
But it's a high proportion.
It's a little bit like, you know, the feeling that you get, your job is to actually sustain and keep engaged on their behalf until they engage with you.
Yeah. So they're the things, just for that insight, because a lot of people will breathe a sigh of relief after watching this and go, oh, I'm so glad that it's not just me, that
it's
my group isn't engaging. And you know, we've been going for 2 years now. We're at this stage. And of course, what we did when we were first started with 10 members or whatever it was, we had the same scenarios that a lot of you are scratching your heads around and asking questions. And we're going to teach you what we did to make the engagement so it wasn't all dependent on us, but also it built this culture of sharing, of it's okay. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
We are very much all about putting the foundations into the business or the product or the group or whatever the thing is. We believe very, very strongly in putting the foundations in. And so we did a lot of thinking before we opened up the group. We did some thinking, we put some foundations in, but we also did a lot of listening. So before we tackle all of that, let me talk to you a little bit about why lurkers do join groups, because, you know, they're obviously there. 90% of them are there. So it's like, why do they join?
And this is going to help Linda, because she didn't realise that the percentages were so low.
Yeah, right. And so it makes a massive, massive difference. And so here are some of the reasons why they might be lurkers or why they actually join the group, so that you can start to think about, how would I engage that? And that's what I was just alluding to. Kelly and I really sat and looked at, okay, that's not working. What else is possible? So that's a really great question to continuously ask yourself around, okay, well, is that working? Isn't that working? What do we continue? What do we bring in some ways? And so this is the way to think about it. So the first set of people is, it might well be that the people that you're speaking to are, by the very nature of who they are, introverted and observing.
So other than in the Connection Hub?
Yeah.
I don't do much on Facebook. I'm on Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't actually like to
or comment
on people's posts.
She is a lurker.
And I'm an introvert, right?
And the thing about that is that the behaviour that drives is simply that they're very private people. You know, sort of, they don't want everything kind of known about them. It's like, because if I click on like, then somebody knows that I like it.
And they might tag me in the thing. Why did you like that?
Exactly.
Like, oh my God, I haven't got time for that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't have time to have the conversation, or actually, that's a bit close to the bone. So actually, I'm just going to like it because you've made me think, you've impacted on me, but you don't need to know that, right? So that's part of it. They can actually be your biggest fans, and you might not even know about them. I absolutely know that I have at least one client that has directly come through from watching my shiny shelves, and then went, hello, I've just binge watched 17 of your shiny shelves. I was like, have you? Oh my goodness. You know, because there was no evidence of that, but actually, would you, let's have a conversation about working together. I was like, okay. So that's why I'm saying the consistency piece is important. So your introverts, your observers are going to sit back. They're going to be private about it. They're not going to let you know, because actually they're potentially a little bit scared that you might try and engage them. So they don't want that. The other set of lurkers, and this is quite an interesting one, that you need to be self-assured and you need to be really kind of solid in who you be, are your competitors. Because, competitors we've all got them. We're all in a field. As speakers, authors and coaches, you're not doing something innovative. You might be doing something innovative within a little niche of whatever it is that you're doing, but people are going to be watching you that do a same or similar thing to you. And so they're going to be keeping their beady eye on you. What are you doing it? How are you doing it? What are you, that keeping up with the Joneses type of feel definitely is in play.
Just take on Tarina's comments, really interesting. She's obviously, thought about closing your group at some time, but when you've said that you might close it, you've had loads of people saying don't because the information is so useful. And I also want to pick up on Joe's point here, because I know that Joe works in the alcoholic field, and so you sometimes will have groups where the information is so private, it's so raw, it's so personal, that you're going to have, Joe, your stats are probably going to be skewed, and you're probably going to have much more lurkers in your group than even the 90% we just put down here.
Exactly. And so that's again part of that whole trusting that what the information that you're giving, the engagement that you're presenting is actually so valuable to people, even if they're not engaging. So that becomes, your group becomes a little bit broadcasty.
And Keely's booked on to the Connect and Create Day, so we look forward to seeing you there. Haven't seen you for ages.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. So the thing about this is that, you know, if your competitors are joining in, they're simply there to watch what you're doing, see how you're doing it, but they don't have to, they might join as them rather than as their page, but they're just going to be watching, and they might not even like your own page. They're just going to show up in your group and see what's going on.
But this is what I like about groups, right? Because if you're competitors on your page, you'll probably see you have a lot more followers than you have likes, because a lot of your competitors will follow you, and that's completely anonymous. As soon as they like your page, then you know that they're liking it, but they still get the content even if they follow you. Now, when you own a group, you have to, if you've got a closed group where you actually have to approve members, that's when you get the choice to let your competitors in or not. Right? So that's why I love groups, because if you know that they're your competitor, they don't have to be able to see what goes on in the group, because you just disapprove them, right? So this is the difference between using a group and a page, not to be like all scarcity and I don't want my competitors to see.
Not at all.
But the exclusivity of the content is also really useful in a group, rather than a page is broadcast content.
And what we want to assure you here is that your group is set up for a specific purpose. Well, hopefully your group is set up for a specific purpose. Otherwise, we've got things to say to you about that. But the whole purpose then is about you ensuring that that is a safe and comfortable environment for the people who want what you have and who have those conversations to actively have that that space available.
Especially for someone like Joe Hugh, right? Where you've got that. I don't want people outside this group to know that I'm an alcoholic, I've been affected by alcoholism, whatever it is. So therefore, you want that to be that safe space.
Exactly. So the next thing is, and I'm sure all of you who are on right now and in future will relate to this. You're busy and you're being productive with your time. So they may want the information, but they want to consume it on their terms, as Kelly was saying earlier. They want to be able to hear what's going on, see the opinions, watch the conversations happen, have a broad overview of what's going on, but without getting into the discussion, because they don't want the distraction. They are using, sort of their time very wisely, and hopefully they're even batching their time and coming in, spending about 20 minutes and going, oh, I've had the hit that I want. I love that group. Thanks ever so much. I'm out of here. Now, they're walking away going, oh, thank goodness. That was a great break in my day with my cup of tea. And then they go back off and do things, but you just don't know. And so what we want to say is this. Take a deep breath. Continue to actually put out the content that you're putting out, because 90% of your people will be silent lurkers.
Just with that peace of mind of knowing that sometimes really helps people.
You're not doing a bad job.
And Joanne's saying, sometimes I lurk because I don't know whether I want to stay in a group or belong. So some groups.
Beautiful.
So you'll only keep in touch with so much. I feel it's time for a cull, especially as my business is pivoting.
Great.
And then I get and Taruna, I get competitor asking to join. I disapprove. Also, I had a person join and then start in consultancy, so I removed them. Yeah, definitely, right?
Completely.
This is where knowing your members, no matter what size group it is.
You're in charge.
As administrators, as Kieran was saying earlier, the administrator role is so important in groups. That's why, we have strong administrators with clear rules.
Exactly. And so the thing I'm going to say to Joanne here as well is that if you're pivoting, one of my clients is actually just pivoting and has chosen a niche that's even more niched than it was before. But your job, again, is you are the communicator within the group. You hold the space for the group. So you're the person that then says, there's a change coming and this is who it's now for. So most of you in here will still want to actually be engaged and involved, but please feel free to actually, extricate yourselves on that basis.
So let's talk about some tips, right? Because this goes across just generally, but these are things that we've actually experienced that help bring our lurkers out.
And done, yes.
And if you're in the Connection Hub, you'll know that we even do a regular post for our lurkers called #ComeOutOfHiding.
Yes.
And I'm actually surprised how many people actually end up doing an intro
I know,
post
it's
or
great.
doing something when they see that. Because actually we're talking to them.
Yeah, it's
they actually
an
feel
invitation.
acknowledged as well, that actually we know that they're watching. We're calling you out. We're saying, look, especially in our group, because our group is for speakers, authors and coaches. So we want you to use your voice.
Yeah.
We want you to be seen. We want you to be heard. Otherwise your message isn't going to be heard. So we're actually that space saying you can't lurk in this group if you want to get business or you want to be seen.
That's right.
Come out and do
You're,
those
you're in
posts.
the business of visibility, truly, you are.
So we encourage you, but obviously it's a different way to do that with whoever your avatar is.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we're actually going to talk about in order to help you engage your group members, but especially your lurkers.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'm going to put in there is, it's fine, we did a Facebook Live around the 6 different types of content.
It is so worth watching.
It's a really good, even though I say it ourselves.
like we were actually talking about this yesterday. It really is worth watching, I'm sorry.
It's really good content, right, of course.
Yes.
But that one shows you the different types of content and also when to use it and what type of engagement that different types of content gets. Now, when you're in a group, as the administrator, it's your job to really be monitoring what gets the most types of engagement, what types of posts get the best engagement. And, you know, when I first started doing Facebook groups, I was naively thinking that the more detailed the post, the more information, I'm like, yeah, everyone's going to love this. And it gets a few likes. And then I might put up the next week a post saying, are you a paperback or a Kindle reader for books? Everyone's like writing, yeah, I'm Kindle. I like to smell books. I'm like, what? That's such a simple post, but it got so much more engagement than the heavy, detailed, this is going to change your life post. So we in our group, and you'll know, we have a mix of things
completely
all the time to make sure that, yes, we're adding value, and especially for people that are lurkers, but then just to encourage people out of their shell a little bit, we have those posts in there. And those simple posts, like, are you a Kindle or a paperback reader?
Completely.
Go against what Helena said, the reasons why people lurk. Yeah. You're not going to get judged. You're not going to get judged for liking Kindle more than a paperback. So you're not like putting your head up there and going,
you're simply sharing and being part of the crowd and saying, this is my preference.
It's also really quick. You just have to write one word, paperback or Kindle, as your response.
Which, on a psychological level, actually does help you feel like you belong. Yeah. So it's safe to do, and you've contributed in a quiet, came out and then went back.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. It's a bit like you feel like you're being part of something, but not having to actually sell your soul and be really visible and even
vulnerable.
Be that noticed, really. So there's for example, there's another group that I'm part of, because obviously I do animal healing and stuff, and there's a dog group in there, and they have a Tongues Out Tuesday hashtag post. Tot post. And first of all, I didn't know what was going on this tot post. Yeah. But what Tongues Out Tuesday is when you put a picture of your dogs with their tongues out. Now, Andrea's going to like this.
Yeah, she's going to put a picture in any moment.
And so every Tuesday, people love to show pictures of their dogs.
I know.
I'm very guilty of this. But you put a picture of a funny picture of your dog with his tongue hanging out, or her tongue hanging out. Yeah. So these are mindless posts. Yeah. But people feel like they're part of something. They can contribute, but there's nothing that actually is going to be vulnerable about or be antagonising in any way. So have the detailed posts, look at this 6 types of content, Facebook Live, and you'll learn about this. But also make sure that you put those really simple things in, asking people what their main objective of the day is, or what are they reading at the moment, all these types of things which are
just tiny.
Easy. Okay. Then the other thing to do is to encourage the lurkers is to do polls and surveys. So I think Steve put a poll up in our group just before we went live on this. Yeah. But polls and surveys are another way for people to feel like their opinions valued and they've contributed. Yeah. But again, they're hidden in the sea of other people that have actually voted too. Yeah. And maybe the surveys could also be anonymous, so they're feeling that they're contributing, but they're not known.
It's interesting because whenever a poll goes up, you kind of see, well, I certainly do, I see that, you know, the first couple of answers are usually from the present people, you know, the contributors, those 10% that we were just talking about earlier. And then suddenly when you check back in about 3 hours later, there's this whole other slew of people that you go, oh, that's
on a Facebook
interesting.
poll, it only tells you like the first 10 and then it goes 10 plus however
exactly.
many. So you can't see their faces.
Yeah. Which is really good.
Oh,
yeah.
Kieran couldn't resist. Yeah, we could do a tongues out Thursday, Tuesday.
I suspect, and I'm scared that actually people will be having their own like tots, you know, in this post.
We could have a screenshot of this, couldn't we? And then everyone would be like, "What the heck is that live about?" Anyway, so to have a variety of posts, do polls and surveys. The other thing is when they join your group, make them feel welcome.
Completely.
Okay, so if you've been a member of the Connection Hub, you'll know that we do a welcome post with all of you tagged that have joined that week, but with real information to actually go, this is how the group works, these are our rules, this is what happens on this day, this is what we want you to do. And we encourage you to write an introduction post, a hashtag introduction, so the group gets to know you.
Exactly.
And we invite you to join our directory. So that, again, you might not be visible in the group, but at least your presence is known our online directory.
And it's just about giving people those opportunities. So one of the phrases that we coined quite a while back now is, your page is your stage. Your group is the after party. So if you think about being allowed into a house for the housewarming or the after party in some way, you know, you take the red
carpet?
No, not the carpet. The red.
The velvet rope.
The velvet rope thing, you know, sort of like, and you let somebody in. But you also tell them the lie of the land. You know, it's like, the kitchen's over there, the loos are over here. You know, this is Bob, this is Mary. If you want anything, go and help yourself at the bar, that kind of thing. It's like giving instructions that allow people to go, whew, thank goodness, I know what to do. Yeah. I might still choose to hang back and watch what's going on and what room to be in or what conversations to join in this analogy. But it at least means that people understand what to do and understand what to watch for, so that if they do want to fit in and not stand out straight away, they can readily do that as a lurker.
So if you're getting questions from people in your group about, I'm not quite sure if I'm allowed to post this, or when does this happen, you need to be doing a better job on your welcome posts, and maybe potentially it's a chance for you to use a chatbot as well. So we did a Facebook Live on chatboarding to help people, you know, have those automated messages to guide them through your page or your group, etc.
Exactly.
So just make sure you're doing a good job of welcoming, so they know that they feel welcome and that they know how to show up, right, and what's allowed.
Because actually, giving somebody the dress code is a really useful thing, right?
Yeah, then they turn up in fancy dress.
Yeah.
So the other thing to think about is the posts that I think really sometimes bring lurkers out, and you'll see this in the 6 different types of content, but the one I wanted to highlight is ones where you're actually being a voice for them. Yeah. So you're talking about a subject which is really dear to their heart, something they feel really strongly about, whether they agree or disagree, but actually you voicing it sometimes brings them out because they feel compelled. They go, I'm so glad that you said that, because I haven't got the courage, the confidence, the network to say that. And I really agree with you, and I really thank you for championing my thoughts, my beliefs, and being that person out there. Or you might touch on something and be that Marmite person where actually they feel really strongly against what you said, and they can't basically keep their mouth shut, basically.
Which is great as well. So you are provoking a reaction. So sometimes you actively doing posts that are an illustration, first and foremost, we say this all the time, that are an illustration that you are listening and that you know the industry and the sphere, you have the expertise to deal with what's actually going on in that sphere that they're in. That helps them to come out, because you're either polarizing them or, as Kelly says, being a voice for them. Either way, there's an emotional engagement in there that allows them to go, yeah, I'm going to say something. And that's what you're looking for. Yeah.
So, and then the final thing is, we teach about this quite in depth in our membership program, Changemaker Central, about the level of content of teaching you do in a group and the level of asking and looking for contribution, right? And just as a rule of thumb for you to know, we actually suggest that people only teach about 20% of the time. 20% of their content is them teaching in some way or another of adding value. And 80% of the content in the Facebook group is actually asking for conversations, asking for engagement. So let me give you an example of how we run the Connection Hub and some of those things. Our 20% is actually this Facebook Live, which we share into the Connection Hub as well as do in our page. Because this is normally about an hour of deep dive teaching to a subject that you've normally asked for in questions or you've said, oh, I don't know how to do this, for example. And then we do a live teaching. You can ask us questions just as we're doing here. That's predominantly our teach. That's consistent every week. Then 80% of the time, we're actually asking you to contribute. So we have posts. So say, for example, we have Curious Q&A. So that is when we put out that post and asking for you. There's no silly question. Put your questions in.
What do you want to know?
We might be able to answer it, but also some other people might be able to answer it too. We've also got the call out post, which is asking you to, who do I need to be connected to? We're called the Connection Hub for a reason. We've got a directory of speakers, authors, coaches, agents, publishers, blah, 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 blah. We go, who do you want to be connected to? Do a call out post and we'll put you in touch. We've also got the Friday feeling post.
My favourite.
Yes. Which is where we encourage people to review what's happened in the week and share their celebrations because being a speaker, author or coach is normally quite lonely, so you don't normally get that chance to celebrate.
And it is quite interesting because actually if you start to look at these posts, and you might actually kind of just go back and look at the last week, different people show up in different things. So you kind of get a regular sense of, there are some Friday feeling posts from people who regularly have gone, I love this post and I will engage with this post, but you don't see them engage with other types and so on. Whereas there are people who actively use hashtag call out for all sorts of things. They're the people who are really good at asking for what they need and stuff. So you can start to see that different posts, different types of posts, different hashtags actually attract different people.
And we also have things like supporting resources where we're asking you to share what you've got, whether it's not so much a promo post, we do that once a month on the What's Your Offer, but supporting resources. Is there a good book, software, event that you think other speakers, authors and coaches should know about? And we ask you to contribute, because one of the things, and you'll see this in the 6 different types of content live, we don't position ourselves as the gods and goddesses of knowing everything, right?
Truly, that would be
We've got our
pressured.
niche, but the reason why the Connection Hub is, in my opinion, grows so quickly is because we're a collaborative space. We allow you to basically, we're not the ones that are saying it's our way and nobody else's.
And it's more than allow, we encourage. And so I think there's something in there around what can you encourage in your group that allows them to feel part of it. Because I think, by the very nature of group, if you think about that word, there is a belongingness, there is an outside of the group and inside of the group. So where do I fit and what am I able to do in here? And what am I encouraged to do in here? So what am I allowed to do and what am I encouraged to do? Those two things could be the thing that you start to look at that might draw out some lurkers and turn them into those contributors or indeed creators, right?
So these are some of the types of content that you can do to get more engagement generally, but these are the ones that also specifically talk to those lurkers.
Absolutely.
And just, even if they just commented once or twice, it's just showing them, right, that 9% of people who are your contributors are not going to be contributors all the time.
That's right.
They're going to go in waves like this. They're going to come back. They're going to be seasonal. All these types of things are going to happen.
And this is the thing. So the last point that we really want to talk about here is about timing. So you may need to do some testing around lurkers may be lurkers because of the timing that actually happens. Now, what's interesting about that is that Amy is here having her breakfast coffee with us. We are now a static part of her week for most weeks, where she sets aside Tuesday morning for her. She's in the States and we're here in the UK. She sets aside that morning. Now that's commitment. That's absolutely somebody showing up in that way. But here's the lesson to take out of that. When you have a regularity of posts, people will start to go, that's what happens on that day. I must show up on that day, or that's what happens at that time, and I'll show up at that time. So actually having some scheduled content or having some regular, consistent features is also part of what draws people out. But think about your avatar. Think about the content that you want to put out. Like, are you encouraging discussion to happen in the evenings when actually most of your people are parents and they're putting kids to beds and everything else?
Actually, evenings are sometimes quite a good time for parents.
Well, no,
after 8:30.
but that's my point.
Yeah.
So when I'm saying, I'm not saying the night time. Well, what's interesting about that is that my friend actually listens to. She takes the buggy and the kids to nursery, and she listens to podcasts in the morning, and she doesn't do anything on the school run home. So there's something here about understanding your avatar. And we're always going to talk about understanding your avatar,
Taruna's
right?
having lunch, and we hear that all the time,
Yeah.
Taruna, is that most people have their lunch on a Tuesday
That's
with us, right? Jack, people like that say it all the time, that I'm having my lunch watching you.
Yeah.
So,
which is perfect.
Amy's definitely can't call her a lurker. She's an early bird who loves a coffee, but not a lurker.
Yeah, completely. That makes complete sense. And Andrea, glad that you joined us for this tiny snippet, and that's exactly what we're talking about. So we're saying here, are they lurking because they just don't have the time to engage with the content that you are putting out at the time that you're putting it out? So, in Facebook, thankfully, isn't like Twitter in that whole thing of, sort of before you know it, before you blink, it's gone. Although in our group, it does disappear quite quickly. So sort of like there are people who actually might set aside time to scroll through things in some way. But we're saying, it may be the right post, but at the wrong time. So you can do some testing and measuring, particularly if you're building up your group, around what type of engagement. Back to that, seriously, you do need to go and watch the 6 different types, because it is, even if we say so ourselves, it's a really, really good one, and it is worth doing, because it might just be that the posts that you've got are right, but the timing may be wrong for the way that you want them to engage.
And then that's a really good call for you to actually go into your group and look at your insights.
Yes.
So the insights is the bit which shows you how many male and female, what countries people are based in, but it also shows you the engagement times where people are really engaged in your group. So, for example, if you see it Wednesday at 7 is a real hot spot, then that's the time to release really important content. So it might be, for example, that you do your live.
Exactly.
And I really, just saying here, you do your live at 5 p.m. normally.
Dinner,
But if you're not consistent,
no.
That's the bit where people don't know when you're going to show up. So I highly encourage, if you're going to do lives, just to be consistent with the day and the time. It really does change the engagement level.
And here's my tip on that, right? Never put something in that you are uncertain that you can fulfill. So even if you promise to do a monthly live and you keep that going for 3 months and you go, actually, I'm ready to commit to doing it twice a month, in the first week and in the third week, or something along those lines. We would rather have you do less, more consistently, until you are able to actually see that the engagement is happening. Because then, if engagement is happening, even if it is lurking engagement, or if you're making space for it, you can actually be the consistency piece. Consistency is more important than haphazardness. Sort of like, don't make a promise you can't keep is basically what I'm saying, right? So
she's on it. She's going to do it. She's going to be consistent.
Good. So that's exactly what I was going to then say was, as a result of watching this, whether it's #replay or whether you are here live, please, the 13 of you that are watching, we would like, 12 of you now, because Jenny has already done this. What are you going to do differently in your group if you have one? And if you are a lurker, come and tell us. Say hi.
And also, if you're watching this and you haven't even done a little wave in the comments, just do a little wave.
Do an emoji, like sort of like it's.
You can do a tongues out Tuesday emoji.
Oh my god! I'm so going to explode that in a bigger way. That then everyone will be like, "What is going on?" And that's what we're talking about. It's that what's out of the norm, out of the usual. That might just be a huh. And that could be the engagement piece that might just bring a lurker out. Who knows?
And Kieran's just saying, I'm just going to read this one, that sometimes some of the groups he's in, he has to get up between 4 and 6 a.m. UK time because he's got a global audience.
Right.
And that's something that you might just want to do once a week or so, so that you are making sure that you're catering for that. or like what we do is we choose a time which is the best across most of the time conversion zones.
But I have to say, our first consideration was always, is it on our terms?
Yeah, we only run this business one day a week on a Tuesday.
So we're only together one day a week.
So we have to choose Tuesdays. And then we were like, okay, then we've got the whole day. What would be the best time for us? Not dog run, school run,
that's right,
rush hour traffic, all of that stuff. We'll do it at lunch.
That's what we'll do. And here we are. So, you know,
Julie's eating lunch while watching us.
And there it is.
All of you are. You're coming out of the woodwork now, aren't you?
And Amy, that's exactly it. You know, so far not much engagement with your YouTube vlog every second Friday, but the whole point is that you're practicing consistency. And honestly, we cannot tell you, those 90% are watching for that consistency, and they are building up the like you, know you, like you, and trust you factor like you wouldn't believe.
So,
on that note,
say hi if you haven't said hi, whether you're on the replay or watching this live.
And tell us what you're going to do. Hi, Julie. Sorry, I realise it's you that's actually eating lunch whilst watching. I'm really pleased.
And tell us what you're going to do differently to bring the lurkers out of your group.
Brilliant.
Have a good one.
Have a great week.
See you later, everyone.